Hello and welcome to Brno and the Czech Republic after a jaw-dropping race here. Unbelievable. None of us woke up this morning believing that it would be possible for KTM to win and ultimately being Brad Binder. But so it is. What a fairy tale we have just witnessed and what a race. I'm not sure if we're going to have enough time to analyse this, but first of all, we have to just talk about the race winner, Brad Binder. We all love him. He's just such a great guy, such a fast rider. We all knew he was good, but I mean, I've got to admit, I didn't see this one coming, Simon.
No, I don't think anyone, well, he didn't expect that he could win, you know. He knew that he could have a good day, he said in Parc Fermé. Hey, the thing is, who would have expected KTM to have what looked to me the best front end out there at the end of the race and get a rear tyre to the end of the race, you know, because last year that was their two weaknesses, you know, apart from a couple others, and unreal progressive made. Brad, you said it, we all love him in the paddock because he's a nice fella, but it's the way he rides. He always puts in 100%, and you can't help but admire that, can you? You know, that's why we're fans, and that's what he did today, you know, and it works.
Box office Binder, we'll be hearing from him shortly because our good buddy Matt Birt will be talking to the top three. Also joined on the podium by Franco Morbidelli, a maiden podium for him, and Johann Zarco, who was on pole. Let's start with Johann Zarco, because he started on pole position, a great ride. Of course, a lot is going to be talked about regarding the incident between him and Pol Espargaro. Some are saying, I can already see on social media, that it's a racing incident. Ultimately, it wasn't Pol's fault. He got the penalty. Do you think it was justified?
Well, the penalty was a very small one, wasn't it? You know, Johann still finished on the podium, so yeah, I think he deserved it, because if it is someone's fault, it's the overtakers, you know. And I know that corner really well. It's double apex, so you go in tight, right by the curb, run out a little bit, bring it back and fire it down the next straight, and Pol was just bringing it back. Johann decided to sneak it in there, but he didn't get his front wheel past where Pol would stand up and go, whoop, you know, and then so, you know, the penalty was fair, I think, in my opinion, and especially that he lost very little, but that was partly down to Johann being incredible, wasn't it? You guys were laughing on the live, like it was truly stunning. It was almost like he'd practiced it. And
this is the moment. This is the incident right here that we can see with Johann Zarco. I mean, one thing we should just point out, Simon, is that there was no malicious intent from Zarco to try and knock him off.
No, of course not. But he wasn't passed, you know. And so you've either got to, as an overtaker, you've got to get by enough so the guy sees you, or don't do it, you know. And it's, to be fair to Johann, it's one of those corners where that sort of thing happens, you know. It does, you know. And we've seen it a few different classes, Moto2, at different tracks, same sort of corner. Anyway,
this was special.
Magic, because dirty track, you know, doesn't get used, and he did it precision. If you touch the line, you have to do it again. He was so close. It was. Yeah, awesome.
It's delighted for Johann Zarco to be back on the podium. How ironic that the moment he had was with his former teammate and former employers, of course, KTM. Great for the Esponsorama team and Ruben Schaus & Co. as well. So many congratulations to them. I'm looking forward to hearing what the Frenchman has to say to Matt shortly. Franco Morbidelli, he did everything he could today. He did everything right. I mean, he got to the front, he led, which we thought he might do, but ultimately he ran into trouble a little earlier than we maybe thought.
The way I look at it is Brad and him were the same in Moto2. They both went out there and did a perfect race. It's just that Brad's kit, whatever setup-wise, seemed to go on for longer. You know, it was going to be a KTM 1-2, in my opinion. You know, I'm not sure what order, you know, if Pol stayed on, but it just showed that the KTM seemed to have the edge today somehow over Morbidelli's Yamaha. I think he did a perfect job. The tyres just dropped off more on his machine.
It's great to see him finally get his first MotoGP podium, and you kind of got the feeling from when we saw his reactions with you, utter relief in many ways.
Yeah, he was not disappointed, was he? And I'll be honest, I know that feeling. My first one, that last part of the race, you're just thinking, I've got to get this podium. If I make a mistake and crash, everyone's going to call me names, you know, like and so you get it, and that's what I recognised in him. He was super happy, you know, no regret.
Just an incredible race. It was such a shame to see Pol go out of it, because it was looking like maybe being a Red Bull KTM 1-2. We've got the riders currently going through interviews, so we'll come back to those guys in a moment. Let's just analyse the rest. Alex Rins in fourth. I mean, the guys who are on the podium deserve the podium, but, I mean, you would not have taken away from Alex. What a job.
If you can see, if Alex was 100% shoulder-wise, the team didn't even know if he'd get there. He's done so few laps. He was doing a maximum of like 4-lap runs. He did warm-up, a couple of laps, just to try and get that shoulder through, and he finished a good fourth, a fighting fourth. I've got to say, if he was 100%, he'd have been fighting at the very front. Yeah,
disappointment ultimately for his teammate Joan Mir, who crashed out with Iker Lecuona earlier on. Valentino Rossi was fifth as well, from 10th on the grid. Not a bad job. I mean, ultimately, paying for the qualifying. I'm not sure if Valentino would have quite had the pace for the podium. We'll never know. But either
I think
way,
he did it perfectly.
Not
really.
a bad job at all.
Valentino can't be disappointed. I think he did a really good job.
What happened to Maverick?
It's just, I'll throw in there again, the new generation are faster. They're faster.
They are, although Maverick Vinales wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
What happened there? 14th today. I mean, that, after the 2 second places in Spain, that is a head scratcher.
And we know how talented he is, I always say it. But if I was Yamaha, I'd be going, oh dear, how can I get out of this deal and put one of these new young fellas on?
No Hondas or Ducatis inside the top 7. Nakagami was the highest finishing Honda in 8th. Just ahead of him, of course, we saw Pol Espargaro having a good ride. Well, Miguel Oliveira as well came through. Great result for the Portuguese rider.
Yeah, I mean, he's had a rough time, and I think he's, injuries last year, and the bike wasn't good last year. It is now, and it's almost like he's building up in confidence.
Let's go now to Matt. It's a maiden podium in MotoGP for Franco Morbidelli. I'm sure that's a big weight lifted off the Italian shoulders. Let's cross over to Matt now, who's live with Franco.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve. I'm delighted to be joined by Franco Morbidelli. First podium finish for you in MotoGP, Franco. You were the strongest Yamaha rider all weekend, and crucially the strongest Yamaha rider when it really mattered in the race. You must be so thrilled to have that first MotoGP podium.
I am really happy about this podium. I wanted it. I looked for it all the weekend. We started well this weekend. We had a great pace since lap 1. And I saw clearly that I had a real clear chance to get it. That's what I tried to do in the race. I tried to make a good start and bring the bike to the end. Halfway through, I saw Brett coming over really fast. And I knew he had the medium tire, so I just tried to don't bother him too much and just try to bring my machine to the end. And finally we get this podium. I'm really thankful. I have to thank Yamaha. I have to thank SIC Petronas. They did a great job. Not just this weekend. They did a great job generally. Thanks to them and thanks to all my people at home. Now a little bit of rest, just a little bit, and we go to Austria.
The tyre choice was always going to be critical. We've seen the riders have problems with the grip over the longer distances all weekend. Did the soft rear tyre perform pretty much how you expected, or were there any surprises for you in that race?
Well, the surprise was I had another drop 5 laps from the end. It was a surprise because, as we were saying yesterday, 5 laps from the end, it was the unknown moment of the race. And now we know. I had another drop, but I was able to manage it well because I was gentle on the tires in the first 15 laps. So I was able to bring the bike to the end in second position, which is really good for me, really good for the team, and I'm just happy.
And were you surprised that it was Binder that was your strongest competitor today? And what was it like when he came past you? Because he had much better pace. I mean, he looked so strong today.
Yeah. Well, congratulations to Brad. Congratulations to his machine. They did a great job. His pace and his grip level was really good. And I'm a bit down about that because I was hoping to catch the win.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have to be happy because it's my first podium, so I have to be thankful for that, and I have to take this good energy and bring it over to the next races.
Franco, it's your first MotoGP podium. I'm sure it won't be the last. Many, many congratulations. A great ride today. Great weekend all round here in Brno. We'll see you in a few days' time in Austria.
Thank you.
Thanks. Back to you guys, Steve.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, the ever laid-back Franco Morbidelli. Great performance from him. It's not often he gets the chance to outshine his teammate Fabio Quartararo. You mentioned it. Well, we've mentioned it a lot over the weekend and for many rounds now. Considering his back's been against the wall, when he originally lined up next to Fabio Quartararo, it was supposed to be him as the #1 rider, and quite clearly that wasn't the way it's gone. So to fight back from that and not let it get to your head, it must be such a great feeling, and it's great for us to see that he's come through that.
It's, you know, it's quite rare that you have guys like Fabio jump in to GP and go straight to the front, you know. Most of them build up like Oliveira, I think, he just had a couple of knockbacks. How Franco is, that's a normal way, you know, and I think teams fully expect Franco to keep building, you know, Oliveira to keep building, but you have those special ones like we've seen from Brad now and Fabio, but that's not usual, you know. So Franco's doing the normal great rider progress, you know.
Just wondering how Brad Binder's feeling at the moment, because of course from the podium didn't look like it had sunk in, and he has to now of course conduct all of these interviews. He'll be here shortly in the press conference as well. At what point is it going to sink in for him? It's a shame that his mum and dad can't be here, of course. They've supported him throughout. But just, I'm absolutely astonished. I was lost for words in the commentary box with his racecraft. We just, like we said earlier, we know how good he is. But, I mean, it's like he's been doing this for years. This is his third Grand Prix.
Well, I'm going to repeat. You can see him there on the screen now doing what he always does, and that is put 100% in. And that, as watchers, you know, whether you're an ex-rider or just a fan on the sofa, you know, you love seeing someone put in 100%, you know. And that's what Brad always does. And it's what, you know, makes the whole paddock a bit of a fan of his, you know. And I think there's nothing, obviously not taking anything away from Brad, but KTM put the package under him that he could just ride it like that the whole way and win, you know.
How
so
wonderful,
impressive.
Not just for Brad, but how wonderful is it to have a new manufacturer winning in MotoGP as well?
You know, I like that. You know, the more, the better. And KTM have been, you know, they've had a tough few years, you know, got a hard time from a lot of people, and now we get to speak to Brad as their first winner.
Look at that smile on the face of Brad Binder. What a day for him. Let's cross over now and get his thoughts. He's with Matt. Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve. Can you believe it? In just his third MotoGP race, history made for Brad Binder. Brad, can you put into words, you're the first South African ever to win in MotoGP, the first rider ever to win in MotoGP for KTM. This one's going to take quite some time to sink in, I'd imagine.
It hasn't sunk in yet, I'll tell you that. Today was the most incredible day of my life so far. It's that day I've dreamt of since I was a child, and gosh, for it to come true in my third Grand Prix is scary. Honestly, I can't believe it. It's been from the day starting in Red Bull Rookies Cup. It's just been a consistent grind trying to get here. And, you know, I came through all the class of Red Bull KTM, and here we are on top, and we finally won in MotoGP.
You started 7th. I mean, you were 50-1 this morning with the bookies to win that race. When did you actually start to think, do you know what, I've got a real chance of actually winning this Grand Prix?
You know, I didn't. I sat behind Fabio, and I could keep his pace quite easy. And as the race went on, I saw I was stronger than him, so I made the overtake on Fabio. And yeah, then once I caught Franco, I sat there for a lap, and I saw that I had a good advantage in the grip. So I just waited, and then I tried to attack as soon as I made the overtake. And you know, I was just waiting because I thought maybe the last 3 laps someone's going to come because my pace dropped so hectic, but obviously everyone's did. So I just pushed so hard the last 3 laps. I think it was the cleanest 3 laps I've ever done. And incredible. What a day. My team gave me such an amazing bike. My bike worked so good, I can't even explain. It was actually surprising me today very often. And hats off to my team. They worked so well this weekend. We didn't start in a great way, but we got to the bike to an unbelievable place. And we won our first Grand Prix together.
Brad, you've won races in Moto3, a World Championship in Moto3. You've been a race winner in Moto2 as well for Red Bull and for KTM. But to win in MotoGP, how special is that feeling? It must be unreal.
But I honestly, I don't think it's ever going to set in. Honestly, I don't. It's the first time I won in Moto3, I thought, this is insane. Like, I was quite content with that. If that was the end, that was okay. And you know, if we look at where we are today, it's just unbelievable. All with Red Bull, all with KTM. We've won in all 3 classes. And I hope this is the beginning of something great.
KTM, obviously, like you say, have put an incredible motorcycle underneath you. It's hard to believe it was only 3 years ago that they entered this World Championship. And a lot of that work has been done behind the scenes by Danny Pedrosa. A lot of guys take the credit. But do you think Danny's had a real big influence in turning the motorcycle around this year?
For sure. I mean, you know, it's a huge team effort. The amount of people working in our box is scary. It's insane. It's still something I can't get used to. There's so many guys that are just grinding it out, you know, and they don't leave they don't leave anything behind. They try every single thing you can imagine. And I need to say a huge thank you to every single person in my box, KTM, the bosses. What an unbelievable day.
And we're going to Austria next week. I think you've probably got a lifetime contract now with Red Bull and KTM. A pretty special weekend coming up for the whole factory and, of course, yourself and KTM.
Yeah, and it's insane. Austria is a track I love. I've always gone well there in the past. And it's the home Grand Prix for Red Bull and KTM. So it's going to be awesome. I mean, it's going to be tough to follow up this one. But I think let's enjoy today and then we worry about that when Friday comes.
Are you even starting to think about being a championship contender? Because we saw in both the Jerez races that you had incredible pace, probably pace that without the mistakes you could have been on the podium. After this victory today, are you actually thinking, do you know what, I've got a realistic chance of fighting for this championship this year, which is astonishing when you've had just 3 Grand Prix in the Premier class?
This morning I was quite shocked that I was 5th in warm-up.
So to be talking about World Championships.
But to think we won today is something that's not going to set in for a while, and I just want to take things one day at a time. You know, it's the way I've always approached every race, and it's the way I want to keep things.
Brad, enjoy it, soak it up, because it was an absolute pleasure and privilege to watch you do your business out there today. It wasn't easy, but you made it look easy. Super congratulations. I'm sure there's going to be some big parties going up in South Africa right now. Huge congratulations.
I can't wait. Thank you very much.
Back to you guys. I think we've got a very happy South African here.
Wow, that was incredible. How can you not love that guy? Let me tell you, it takes something to get the waterworks going for Simon Crafar, and I can tell you that he's been wiping away the tears here, Simon. Just analyse and reflect on the words, if you can, because it's an emotional moment for Brad. We all love him, and I could see here, even standing here next to you, that you're emotional just listening to that.
When he started, that's what got me, you know, because I mean, I know that feeling. He was talking about his dreams, and today, you know, he's reached where he wanted to be. You know, I won one. He's gonna win more for sure. He's awesome. But it just got me because I know how hard it is to work all the way through to get to where he is today.
Well, I've got to say, I would give you a big hug right now if we were allowed to, but we're not.
Yeah, sorry about that. It got me.
I'm trying to keep it together myself because we're going to be speaking to Brad shortly in here. But let's just go back now to Matt. This gives us a chance for a breath. And here now from Johann Zarco. What a weekend it's been for him. Pole position for the Sponsorama team here yesterday, and now a podium as well. What a story, what a day for the Frenchman. Let's go over to Matt now.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve. It's been quite a year for French talent in the MotoGP World Championship, hasn't it? And Johann Zarco, an incredible pole position yesterday, which I think surprised everybody. Surprised even yourself, yeah. So how surprised are you to be on the podium today, Johann?
Also because I was expecting to be stronger at the beginning of the race. I mean, to be first or second, and when I saw Morbidelli going away, I was feeling that I can follow him because really the first laps with the new tires, I got a good feeling on the bike, but I missed the start, and losing this position on the start gave me in a critical position. Even I was feeling I can be fast, it was not enough to overtake the other guys. And after 4 or 5 laps, already a top 3 is going away. Pol overtook me because he was a little bit faster, and he tried to catch for sure Brad, that he got the motivation to catch him. But after, again, few laps, he began to do few mistakes, going a bit wide. So I tried to come in the first corner, keeping well my line, thinking he's going to see me. But it seems not. And when we got the contact, I was not sure if he crashed, but then I was not hearing him anymore. So I was a bit worried because I know the rules and things can happen in that kind of situation. But nothing was coming. And then I got the long lap. And in that moment, I was third, and I was thinking I'm going to lose position. So then it's going to be very difficult to fight for the podium. But during this long lap, no one was passing me. And from this moment, I got like a second breath thinking, okay, now if I push well, try to focus on Morbidelli to catch him, I can save the third position. So I did it. But the end was not easy with Rins, so I closed well the door and it worked well.
There's so many talking points in that race. One of them will be, of course, the incident with Pol Espargaro. I mean, do you think the penalty was fair or a little bit harsh?
It's always difficult to judge this kind of thing. As long as I can finish on the podium, it has been a good weekend for me, from pole position, then finish on the podium. And it's anyway, I think, for this situation was better the long lap than, for example, drop a position or go to right through, because the right through is too long. So no, and it's also part of the race. You go in because the guy is going wide, so you try to overtake, and sometimes happen the contact. We must remember that we are racing and not dancing.
I want to talk to you about the long lap penalty, because that was incredible. I mean, dirty part of the circuit, you went through there with your knee down, you didn't lose a position. How did you do that long lap? Because from the outside, it looked superb.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I was just leaning, keeping the knee on the floor and waiting. Someone is overtaking me. I was ready to count 1, 2, 3, but no one was coming. And maybe because I love also to ride bike on the road in south of France. Maybe I'm used to have wide corners safe with safety.
And of course, next week, Johann, we go to Austria, a circuit which we know traditionally is very strong for Ducati. You've got the GP19, which won the race there last year. So this weekend in general must have given you a real big lift in confidence, pole position and the podium, that you can maybe repeat being at the front again next weekend, or in the next 2 weekends in Austria, of course.
It's true. Spielberg is always a pretty good track for Ducati, as long as you can use well the bike correctly. And this pole position and podium will bring my confidence and my wishes really high for Spielberg. So don't get any pressure for it. All what I did this weekend is like a bonus, and pretty good for me to have a good relationship with Ducati. But if I can, repeat a podium during the next 2 weeks, this is going to be just perfect.
Great to see you back on the podium, Johann. Many, many congratulations. We'll see you in a few days' time in Austria. Congratulations. Yeah, back to you guys. Actually, podium finishes here in Renault.
Yeah, thanks very much, Matt. We're racing, not dancing. I love that line. Great fun, as ever, with Johann Zarco there, Simon.
I don't think there'd be very many people not happy to see him back riding like the old Johann Zarco, you know, because he's had a really tough time, hasn't he, you know?
He's spared Ducati's blushes a bit today as well.
Exactly. It was kind of a very strange day, wasn't it, you know? Because
more than strange.
You know, I'll go back to very happy to see him back riding like we know he can, you know. First time we've seen him ride like that on the Duke or on anything since he got off the Yamaha.
Before we go, of course, we must talk about the World Championship leader, Fabio Quartararo. Started in the middle of the front row. Got off to a decent start, Simon, and got into a decent rhythm in the early stages behind his teammate Franco Morbidelli, but he obviously ran into trouble a lot earlier than Franco Morbidelli, which you kind of thought might happen looking at the weekend's proceedings.
Yeah, totally. He has struggled more with grip drop more than his teammate all weekend, hasn't he? Like, Franco's turned up here and seemed to be the only guy not to be really struggling, you know, and it showed exactly the same in the race.
I mean, the good news for him ultimately, although he ended up finishing in 7th and dropping through, this is a moment where he had a bit of contact with Alex Rins, is he's actually extended his championship lead. So when all is said and done, it's not the end of the world.
Not at all. Like, I mean, you know, to lose so little points-wise and not to fall on a day where it's so easy to fall is like, he's got to go away and be happy, you know. If this is one of his bad ones, like Mark often talks about, but Mark's bad ones are second, aren't they, you know?
Well,
but yeah, he's got to be happy.
Okay, well, Simon, thanks as ever from you. What a day this has been. Thanks to Matt Birt as well. We're about to head into the press conference. We've got so much to talk about in Spielberg in a few days' time. I'm going to get myself comfy, ready to talk to the top three. In the meantime, thanks for joining us here. Enjoy the highlights of a memorable day.
Lights out here in MotoGP. What a start from Pol Espargaro from the second row.
Is Binder going to attack now?
He is.
You know, he's going for it
on the inside of the World Championship. He's done it. Pol Espargaro and Johann Zarco now. He's gone down! He's gone down! Brad Binder. It's coming now. Up the inside he goes. The rookie on the Red Bull KTM leads. History being made for the South Africans. Brilliant. You beauty. A blazing victory for Binder. A new star is born.